Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 21 Hats podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Feldman. We recorded this week's conversation early on Friday, May 29th, shortly before the protests of the horrifying killing of George Floyd erupted and set the entire country on edge. I'm sure we will address what happened, including the damage done to one of Jay Goltz's Chicago stores, in next week's episode. This week, our conversation centered on Laura Zander's struggle to get control of a Texas-based yarn supplier she acquired last year. She's had issues with inventory, personnel, and quality control, and then her general manager walked out, which has Laura scrambling to figure out what to do next and feeling deflated knowing that she could have handled the situation better, that some employees are talking about her, and that some just don't like her. I really struggle with that, she says at one point. Am I the only one that struggles with stuff like that? Even in good times, owning and running a business can be a lonely pursuit. Our hope is that these weekly conversations will, if nothing else, let owners know they are not alone in facing these extraordinary challenges. If you know a friend who might benefit from this conversation, please share it. You can subscribe wherever you get podcasts. And if you do, please review us and rate us. It makes a big difference. If you have questions or suggestions, you can always email them to me. My email address is lfeldman@21hats.com. This week's 21 Hats podcast lineup features Jay Goltz, whose businesses in Chicago include a picture frame shop, artist frame service, and a home furnishing store, Jason Home, and Laura Zander, co-founder and CEO of Jimmy Bean's Wool, a digital version of a neighborhood yarn shop that is based in Reno, Nevada. This episode is called, How Do You Handle the Fact That a Lot of People Don't Like You? Let's do a quick update. Laura, last time we talked to you, you told us you were about to get on an airplane and fly to Texas. Did that happen?
No, it did not. I am actually going to go this Monday, so I delayed it.
Why?
Well, I was going to go because we were going to be hiring a new person and onboarding her, and there was some drama around that, so I wanted to be there for that. But then we ended up not hiring that person, and we decided that without any super significant urgent reason for me to be there, that it wasn't worth the risk and that we'd let things play out for a couple more weeks. So what I have decided is I'm going to go on Monday, and then I'm just going to stay for 2 weeks there. So instead of going there Monday, coming back Friday, going there Monday, coming back Friday, I'm going to go there Monday, come back the following Friday, and then I'll stay here in Reno for a couple weeks and quarantine in Reno, and then I'll go back to Texas for 2 weeks. And maybe I'll just kind of keep doing it that way for a little while.
Are you feeling comfortable about the travel? Was that part of the reason you put it off?
I feel comfortable. I don't have a problem, but Doug was a little nervous about it. So yeah, it was more for him. You know, he thought it would be better if I didn't go. You know, and that's what you do.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Yeah, we'll have a whole other discussion about being married to your business partner.
That's a different show altogether.
Yeah, it is. It is. It wasn't necessary quite yet. And it actually worked out really well. The woman that had been our GM that we hired in January to be our GM, she ended up walking out last week. So it worked out better that I was gone, because that kind of forced the issue, and it forced us to have conversations over Zoom and phone and Slack, and that forced our communication issues to a head. And it meant that the separation happened much faster than it would have if I had been there in person. And then, it made things a little cleaner.
Could you put some color on the walked out? Does that mean she called you in the morning and said, listen, I appreciate the opportunity, but this isn't right for me. I'm quitting. Did she not call you at all? And you just found out through the grapevine?
Yes.
Did she go ahead and scream at some people, you're a bunch of losers and I'm out of here? Did she just not show up one day? What was the end? Give us
I got a Slack message from our HR manager there that when the HR manager got there that day, the general manager had cleaned her desk out, that had already been in there that morning, cleaned her desk out, came over and just said, will you please terminate me? Or I would like to just go on unemployment and leave. So I have not heard from her. We had a conversation on Slack the day before she left, and I don't think she was happy with that conversation. Again, our communication styles collided. If you want me to, anyway.
Laura, let's back up for a second. Let's just make clear this is the company in Texas that you bought, I think, around December. They supply yarn. They were one of your biggest, if not your biggest supplier, and now you're running that business. And they've been struggling, as you've told us, because they supply yarn to brick and mortar yarn shops around the country, most of which were shut down, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree. I don't think I'm running that business. I think that business is running me. But yes, yeah.
Did you accommodate her terminating her? Did she terminate her?
Yeah.
And did you have any qualms about that versus
no?
Because you felt like you owed it to her to let her go on unemployment?
It just seemed easier. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I necessarily owed it to her, but yeah, I mean, I've been in a funk for the last week because I feel like I've failed. There are 1,000 things that I could have done better.
Let me help you with that. The fact that she quit that way tells you it was okay, because if she was the grown-up that you wanted to run that business, that you're not there, she would have called you like a grown-up and said, listen, I've been thinking about our conversation. This doesn't seem like the right fit for me, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I don't think this is going to work for either of us, and I'm going to, by the end of the day, that's what grown-up professionals do. And the fact that she didn't do that tells you she really wasn't up to the task. For the amount of money you were paying her, that's what grown-ups do.
Yeah, no, I know. And that's the bottom line, is the job was too big for her. It just was. It was a different, she had kind of run or managed the business years ago, but it was a much different business. It was a reactive business as opposed to a proactive business. And it sounds like she had done a fantastic job before. But we're running things differently. I'd had that conversation with her multiple times. I'd given her the opportunity to go out with grace and just say, look, if this doesn't work, it's okay. Like, we can totally talk about this. I'll help you find something else.
Okay, good for you. Then you were
always,
professional,
yeah.
And you did try to do it in the most civilized, nice manner. So good for you. And, you'll be more deliberate next time you hire for that position. And I will tell you something that...
Wait, you didn't hire this person, did you, Laura? Or
no, I did.
Hired her back.
You inherited her, right?
No, I hired her.
Back. She hired her back. She used to work there.
She had worked there and then was gone for a couple of years. And then I brought her back.
When I was your age, or a couple years younger perhaps, I literally, not exaggerating, went through 10 production managers in my production facility framing pictures. And every time I hire a person, I would dig in. Oh, no, the last one was wrong, but this guy, he's the guy. And then I would dig in for a month or 2 or 3, and then it would crap out, whether I fired them or they quit. And then I brought a consultant guy in who sent me the most poignant letter, and all that matters is one sentence. He said, Jay, I figured out the problem, or maybe 2 sentences. You keep hiring production managers and you think you're hiring CEOs. I got it. What that meant was I was 30 some years old, and I thought that when you hired somebody that was older than you and put them in a production thing that you've never done, that they'll just be able to run the business. And what I realized was he was saying to me, you needed to manage them more. Now, in hindsight, I realized something he didn't even know, which is I was hiring burnouts. I was hiring people that, for the kind of money I was paying, made no sense. So the next guy I hired 24 years ago was 27 years old, and the amount of money I was paying was a great opportunity for him. And that guy is still working for me.
Oh, right.
It was all about the hiring. I didn't know what I was doing with the hiring.
Well, so tell me, as you're letting these people go, you're going through the 10, what's the ripple effect on your other employees? Like, are they scared all the time because they
No, not at all. This is the way it worked. I had, 20 people working in production, and it was just like with the substitute teacher in school. This is exactly what would happen every time. I'd hire this new person, introduce them, and I almost walked away. I'm telling you, I had enough going on. I figured, this guy knows more than I do. I'll just leave him alone. So then, okay, Bob, you need to get 87 pictures framed every day. Okay, so the first day he'd get 87. Oh my God, I got the right guy. The next day, 88. The third day, 84. The fourth or fifth day, 51.
Whoa.
Hey, what happened? Well, it was a bad day. There was some problems it was just like at school. They would get a feel for the guy. And then as soon as they figured it out, boom, they slammed him. I mean, like kids in high school, like, oh, he's really nice. Okay. And it kept happening time and time again. And what I realized in hindsight, like I said, I was hiring burnouts that were never good at what they did. And I'm embarrassed to say this at this point, but looking back, I had a framing factory on a third floor walk-up loft with no air conditioning. What kind of winner that's 53 years old is going to take that job? I had a guy that was working at Coca-Cola, honest to God. Coca-Cola he was working at. What kind of manager that worked at Coca-Cola is going to leave Coca-Cola to work for Jay Goltz Framing Pictures and is there? So what happened with him? He just went to lunch and didn't come back.
So Laura, tell us about your situation. Do you know who you want to hire, or do you know what you want to do?
No, and I don't even know. I mean, here's the sad part. So she left, and as it turns out, like nothing has slipped through the cracks yet, and it's not been a tremendous increase in work for anybody else, So I went to everybody and I'm like, okay, how is this going to affect you? And they're like, well, it's not really, I mean, where I thought it would affect us most is that now I don't have a point person, but I actually do have a point person because I was actually talking to a couple of the other people there, a couple of the other managers more than her anyway, because it was just easier to have conversations and get straight answers. So that's part of me going there next week and spending the next 2 weeks is I would like to learn the production side of it. I'd like to learn what's happening.
Are you thinking you might not have to replace her?
I don't know if I'm going to.
You need to replace her. You need a manager there. You're not there, which means either you need to bring someone in, or maybe one of your existing managers can be promoted to that. But this is like Animal Farm. This is not just going to run itself and everyone's going to be happy. You're going to have issues. You're going to have people that need to be managed. You're going to have people not coming in on time. There needs to be a manager.
Jay, I want to go back to something. You asked Laura about terminating this person versus having her quit, in which case she wouldn't have been able to collect unemployment. What were you thinking?
I would want to know more. I'd want to know more things like, did you take her out of another job? Was she working hard the whole time? Was it your fault that this didn't work out? And now at this point, are you even going to get charged for the unemployment? Because now I'm not even sure it's going to cost you anything because some of the states aren't charging back. So you don't want to be. I'm not being vindictive against somebody. I mean,
explain how that works, Jay. How does in normal times, how does a business get charged?
Quick version is, this is in Illinois. My guess is the same everywhere. Whatever they end up getting for unemployment, you end up paying for plus about 30%, except you don't get a bill from the state of Illinois going, hey, that guy that you fired, here's your $14,000 bill. No, what happens is it goes into your rate, and your rate goes from 4.2 to 4.4.
That rate meaning you pay that percentage of payroll to cover unemployment?
Yes, on every employee up to like 13,000. So you are paying for it. It's just split up, and then it's over 3 years. So instead of getting a bill for 14 grand, you end up paying another, $1,000 a quarter for the next 3 years. I mean, you are paying for it though. So you do want to control your unemployment expense.
So Laura, does this change your thinking about what you should do in this situation?
No, not at all, because I'm aware of this and knew that's exactly what was happening. But I'm also kind of hoping a little bit that with COVID and everything else that the unemployment laws are a little laxer right now.
Sounds like it was the right decision. I mean, it sounds like she shouldn't have been put in that job, and that's fine. And she didn't just not show up one day. She at least showed up and asked. I had someone who, this just happened. I just had the receptionist. She just stopped showing up. And
that is what happened here.
No. This woman came into the HR person and said, will you terminate me? My receptionist just didn't show up to work. So my HR person sends her an email saying, are you resigning? Doesn't respond to her. She goes for unemployment. Unemployment sends a thing to us and says she's looking for unemployment. And the woman said in the letter, she said that she wanted to torture us. So she wasn't going to just quit. So I said back to her, I said to the receptionist who came to me, I said, maybe this isn't the right job for you. If you can't come to work on time, which I know has been a problem, I'd be happy to work with you. Just tell the manager that you're going to be looking for a job, and we'll work with you. As soon as I told unemployment that, she goes, thank you, perfect. She denied the unemployment.
So how do you handle the fact, Jay, that a lot of people don't like you? And that this woman probably goes home at night and is like, Jay this and Jay that, and he's so unfair, and it's just that, and blah, blah, blah. And if he was smarter, they would be doing this and they would be doing that. Like, I really struggle with that. Am I the only one that struggles with stuff like that?
I would say that everyone struggles with it until they finally realize, hey, you're the boss. It goes with the territory. And I got to tell you, whatever.
Laura, tell us a little bit more about that. What are you hearing? What are you feeling?
Well, I just, every time somebody doesn't work out, especially if it's somebody that I've worked directly with, I go in this, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, I'm much better at it than I was 5 years ago. And maybe that's the growth of my outer shell. But, I go into this to kind of a deep depression of I suck. And if I was a better manager, this would have worked out. And if I had been more clear, and if I had done a better job at this, and I can visualize all the things that they're saying when they go home at night about how I failed at this. And
wait, are you imagining these conversations, or are you actually hearing them?
It doesn't really matter. Either way. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm imagining, but I know they're happening as well.
Sure, they're happening.
They're absolutely happening. And when they're not true, they're fine. But I know that I'm not perfect. And I know that I make mistakes. And I know that there are areas that I need to be better in. And so those are the things that haunt me and in this example with this manager, we had a conversation last week or the week before where I was just like, I'm really, I'm sorry. Like, I know I need to do better in this. And I really appreciate you giving me the feedback that you're having a hard time talking to me about X, Y, and Z. I'm going to work on that. Like, I really am. And so I'm usually really open about my weaknesses, but then to know that your weaknesses are being used against you and that you're not kind of getting that back. I don't know. I mean, that's just when somebody leaves and I recognize that, I'm complicit in that. If I was Jay, it may not have turned out this way.
Except Jay's 20 years older than you. And when I was your age, I was having the exact same issues. So what I'm telling you is you've got a God complex and you think that you're supposed to be perfect and do everything right. And the fact of the matter is you didn't kill her. You didn't have her sent to prison. You know what? You gave her an opportunity. It didn't work out. She'll go find another job. And you're just going to have to learn to you're on a good and noble cause. You think about all those wonderful employees that are with you on this mission to do nothing more than take care of customers and provide for their families and provide for a return on your investment. And you got to give the rest of this up because it doesn't matter. You've got 30 other people, 40 other people that you are a wonderful boss with that they thank you and they feel good. And you've got hundreds or thousands of customers and you need to live in that world and give up this other stuff because that's like a baseball player going home thinking, oh my God, I struck out today right when they needed me. Oh my God, I can't believe it. We lost. Leave it on the field.
All right. Okay.
You don't sound enthusiastic with it.
Laura, are you feeling some battle fatigue? This has been a lot lately.
Yeah, for sure. I am, but I'm also, I think I was okay like 2 days ago, but then yesterday there's an issue down in Texas. And so, I'm trying to figure out how to hold people accountable from 3 states away during a pandemic where somebody there we just found out somebody might have been exposed and, the quality's not there. And
the quality of the yarn that they're producing?
Yes. Yeah. So we're having some quality issues.
You just answered my thing, which is you need a manager there. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Good. Way to bring it back.
Yeah, that's the point. It's not a matter of holding accountable. It's just called Management 101. So, and when you say hold them accountable, did they do it on purpose? Did they just? Yeah, I mean, they need some management. It is what it is. And
that's exactly so. I mean, okay, great. I need a manager, but I can't get a manager today. So I still have to deal with these problems today.
Why?
Logistically, because it is 9:27. I'm on the West Coast, so it's 11:27 there. even if I were to like go through LinkedIn or whatever, I don't know if I'll even be able to schedule an interview until this afternoon. I don't know if I can get them to show up by 5.
So I'll ask you the question I know the answer to. Did you write a really good ad and put it
No.
out? Of course not. That's what I'm talking about. Go write as soon as we're done here, go write a really good, compelling ad talking about it's going to be like running your own business, report directly to the boss who's 3 states away. I need someone who relishes to build a corporate culture to get the job done, and write something that someone who's working somewhere else is going to go, oh my God, this is that dream job I've been looking for my whole life. And then they send you this golden resume and you look at it and you weep. And while you're weeping, you're dialing the phone and you hire them and you hug, and life is grand.
Jay, it sounds like you're trying to get that person from Coca-Cola to apply for the job.
No, I'm trying to get the 27-year-old. This is exactly what I got. No, I'm talking about the 27-year-old guy I hired that was working at a crappy company that didn't care about quality, that didn't care about their employees, that saw this as a great opportunity. And I love this guy. I'm telling you, he's my corporate soul to the company. He understands our whole thing. He treats the employees right. He both knows when that he's got to hold them. When he's got to take the hard line, he knows when they need a hug. And I have that guy. There are people like that out there in the world. They're 1 out of 100. No, they're 1 out of 100.
Laura, do you need somebody who's in the industry?
I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
No, I just need Dana. That's what I need.
So the answer is, when you put the ZipRecruiter ad out, you're going to get 150 resumes, and you're going to look through them and think, oh my God, this guy is a truck driver. Why is he applying? And this woman is a manicure. Yes, you're going to get 150 resumes, and in there's going to be 3 really interesting ones. And then there's going to be one of them that's your person. But you got to buy a ticket to win the lottery.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just kind of on the fence because I'm like, I mean, if the team there feels like they can do it themselves, do we need a manager?
Answered your question. You just had a problem with, you need to put someone in charge. Maybe there's someone there that's your person. I'm not saying that that's not possible. Maybe there's someone that works there that has the competency, the ambition, and the nerves and the ability to all of a sudden go from being their coworker to being their manager. You can find that out in a conversation.
Yeah, I think I might. So maybe offline we'll chat about that, because I may have somebody that I think that could be a good fit for.
I got to tell you something. I can think of 6 people that we've taken from working on the line that had no self-confidence, that we turned into managers, and there was no greater satisfaction, reward to life. And I've had people tell Dale, my manager, one of them left. She moved down south for some reason. She goes, Dale, I have to thank you. When I came here, I was just doing stuff and you made me a manager. And you know what? She moved down south and she got a job as a manager. Nothing is a greater success than taking someone who doesn't have confidence but has ability and giving him confidence and training and turning him to the manager that they have latent in there. And there's a good chance that person works at the company.
Well, and actually it's funny that you say that, because that's what the issue is I feel like there's so much talent in this organization and there's so much potential, but it's never been developed. And it's never been a culture of trying to develop and pull out talent from the people that are there.
And you know why? I know why. You told me enough about it to tell you why. Wasn't a husband wife running it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when a husband-wife runs it, nothing against you. When a husband-wife's running it, they can kind of run the whole place and never have to really delegate because one of them will cover everything. So the organization never gets developed properly because one of the two of them is going to run the place and nobody needs to really take. Whereas in my case, I was by myself. I had no choice.
Wait a second. We got to let Laura respond to that. Laura, your main operation, you built your business with your husband. Is Jay right about that?
Yeah, I think that's it's very observant. Absolutely. And it wasn't until.
Have you figured it out?
Yeah. Yes. I think so.
Well, but here's the key. She got it bigger. That's how I know she figured it out. And I'm not saying husband and wives are bad. I'm saying some of them never grow past a certain point because they can just run the thing by themselves and keep it down to that. Actually, if there's a number, it actually works. I think the number you told me they were doing, yeah, you can do a few $1 million, $4 or $5, but you can't get to 10, 15, $20 million running it like that. And they didn't. Whereas Laura has been successful at it. So
yeah. No, they, went big and then ended up dropping in half kind of thing. But it's because they didn't develop anybody. And that's, there were a few people that have moved up in the ranks, but for the most part, no. So they didn't figure out how to scale it. And we didn't for quite a while. I mean, it took me a long time to figure out how to let things go, and how to have other people do things and me not having to know every single zero and one and every single sentence that was written.
No, you and 80% of entrepreneurs, that's why most companies don't get past a certain point. They just can't let it go.
Jay, let's talk a little bit about your business. You keep talking about trying to find opportunities in this crisis. Have you seen any of late?
So I've just been sitting back waiting, and boom, there it blossomed. I got a call from my sales manager that goes, "Did you hear so-and-so is closing?" Really? A large frame shop that's been around for many, many years.
Oh my God, our biggest competitor just closed too last week.
Yeah. So I go online, I see there's a whole page he wrote on his website talking about it. And then first thing this morning, this is all part of the story. At 7:30, I got a text from a rep that, I'm tight with it. She was servicing him and she knew this was coming. And she said, "Did you see it?" And I talked to her. She goes, "Well, he told me." I said, "You should call Jay." Maybe, well, I don't know if I want to. So I said, "Have him call me." So he immediately called me. We had a lovely conversation. And I think I'm able to put together something to take the thing over, buy the building from him, and everybody wins. But he needed the push to do it. And I think this is going to work out for all parties.
Laura, you said you had a competitor that just closed too. Do you see an opportunity in that?
Oh, it's huge. Yes. I actually have an interview with with kind of the right-hand man of the CEO this afternoon. So not only does this open up a bunch of staffing opportunities, for people who are now out of a job.
A manager, maybe?
No, not a manager, but the volume that they're doing now is going to trickle down. I mean, a big part of it will trickle down to us, I'm sure. And it's interesting, this company was one that was, it was founded by a guy who had worked for eBay, and it was very startup VC funded. They had raised, I don't know, $100 million or something ridiculous. So they were operating at a loss for years and years, and really took a chunk out of our business. A big chunk. And, then they got bought out. They got bought out by NBC Universal. So then, of course, I mean, this is the trajectory that you watch. Then NBC just shut it down last week. So it's just coming full circle. So now we'll get back some of the market share that we lost to them. I'm assuming we will. I mean, we're firing much better than we were 5 years ago and 8 years ago when they started. So we're in much better shape and much more solid. So it gives us a huge opportunity, like on a couple different levels.
Jay, let me ask you, you're talking about possibly buying a building. I don't know if that means buying the business as well.
Yeah, no, it goes with it.
Obviously, it's an investment. Are you at all concerned about making that kind of investment at an uncertain time like this? I mean, we still have a pandemic underway. Nothing's back up to normal. The economy is, obviously going through some difficulties. How are you processing that?
I pull out my old playbook. I did this 8 years ago. I bought a big building.
You told us about that, but
same story now. I'll simply tell the guy he's got no mortgage on it. I'll go, "Look, we'll put together a sales contract. I'll buy it in 2 years. It's a solid real estate buy. If I can't get the mortgage now, he'll get rent for the next 2 years. Everybody wins." No, I'm not worried about it. And I can't say this enough, listening to all the news reports. This is not the Great Depression. I'm so tired of hearing that. We had a pandemic. It shut things down. Yeah, it's been brutal for a lot of people. Got it. The world will get back on its axis. Really, it will get back on its axis. We will be okay. Will it be next month? Maybe not. But I'm so tired of these reports. Unemployment's higher than during the Great Depression. Did anyone mention that we've been shut down? So we laid some people. I mean, it's just.
Where do you draw the line between trying to maintain optimism and burying your head in the sand?
Easy. This isn't being optimistic, and this isn't burying my head in the sand. It's looking at reality. We had the strongest economy we've ever had. Unemployment was at a record low. Why in the world will we not get back to normal in 6 months? Why? That isn't being optimistic.
You were just talking about businesses that are closing and not opening back up. There are a lot of those.
Yeah,
it's not going to get back to normal, but it doesn't mean that the new normal won't be healthy. How about that? I mean,
It's
no,
easy.
I don't think it's going to be
We're
back
on the
to
exact
normal.
same page. There will
It's
be
going to
some
be different.
there will be some businesses that won't open. So my question to you is, will those be the best businesses, or will they be the ones that did like my friend's daughter works in a pet shop? They went in there. They're not wearing masks. She put herself out of business. Done. Over and out. Do I think there will be some businesses closing? Absolutely.
They already have.
Yeah. Will it be me? No. So now the market reopens and there's less competition out there. How is that going to be bad for me? Why should I not be, forget the word optimistic, why shouldn't I presume that these customers that were going to these other businesses that no longer exist, why shouldn't some of them come to me? So this isn't about optimism. This is about simple math.
Despite my challenge, you guys have just shown why you're both successful entrepreneurs.
Well,
And
it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Now, let me give you a practical answer to that, though, because it's a fair question if you phrase it a little bit different. Jay, are you concerned that this is going to last another 6? Here's the key. I'm going to cut a deal with this guy 50-50. Let's assume that I forge ahead. This isn't going to be in a week. It's going to be over months. Like, if things are going down the toilet in 3 months, I'll probably get out of it and he'll have to go sell his building to someone else.
So that's the answer I was looking for. You are assessing the risks. You're aware that there are a range of possibilities and you're protecting yourself.
And I'm not betting the ranch on it. I'm buying some real estate and I'll put it in a contract. But by the time that deal goes through, it's going to be 2-3 months from now. I'll have a better feel for things.
Okay. So we're going to try something different this week. I have a surprise quiz for the two of you. I've got 4 questions, all taken from this week's 21 Hats morning report. And we're going to see how you guys do.
Is there a prize?
Yeah, you get to come back next week.
Oh, God.
Wow.
I want something tangible.
Hey,
Something material.
what's more tangible than hanging out with us, Laura?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, he's got you there.
Okay, question number 1. An employee-owned company in Vermont first realized something was up in early March when it saw its grocery store orders increase 600%. What does this company sell?
Flour. King Arthur flour.
Wait. Let me give you the the options, Laura. A, recycled toilet paper. Remember, this is a Vermont company. A new flavor of ice cream called Stay-at-Home Strawberry. Baking flour. Or hydroxychloroquine made from hemp. Laura, your answer is?
Baking flour.
Jay?
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah.
And you're right. That is the right company.
And the CEO said, "Are those numbers a mistake? Can you run those again?" And then she was in shock when she saw that they had increased 600% because they had really been struggling with getting the millennials who were pro gluten-free, and now they're all baking.
You're warming my heart, Laura. All right. Question number 2. And this relates to you, Laura, as well. During the first 2 months of the year, the average domestic flight in the U.S. was carrying between 85 and 100 passengers. How many are flights carrying today?
I thought was it 34?
Jay?
I'm going to go with whatever Laura thinks. Because she's obviously paying more attention than I am.
39.
Okay.
So there have been a lot of pictures on social media of full flights. Those are the exceptions still. All right. This week, small business lending expert, this is your third question, small business lending expert Ami Kassar noted that the application for PPP loan forgiveness is quite complicated. And if you can manage to complete it, you probably need some help completing it. Your lender then has 2 months to review it before submitting it to the SBA. And then the SBA has 3 months to review it before approving or disapproving forgiveness. So that's a total of 5 months in review after you manage to get the thing submitted. When is your first payment due? After how many months?
4 months.
Jay?
Whatever Laura says.
Jay? That would be less than the time it takes to get it approved. So you would have to start.
Exactly.
You would have to start paying before you know whether the loan's been forgiven or not. Fortunately, that's not the case, Laura. It's actually 7 months. But if you don't get your act together and get that application filed, you could wind up in a situation where even if you qualify for forgiveness, you got to start paying back the loan.
Got it.
You don't want that to happen. Last question. You may remember an entrepreneur named Parker Conrad who started an automated HR business called Zenefits. Its customers were small businesses, and it quickly became a Silicon Valley tech darling valued at billions of dollars. Then it all fell apart, and Conrad had to resign in disgrace, in part because they were breaking compliance rules about selling health insurance. So what did Conrad do? He almost immediately started another HR startup called Rippling that does exactly the same stuff Zenefits did. In fact, he hired the engineer who built Zenefits for him to build Rippling. Forbes recently predicted that Rippling will be valued at billions of dollars as well. My question for you guys is, when Conrad, who got lots of venture capital to build Zenefits, went back to the venture capitalists in Silicon Valley to raise money for his new startup after Zenefits had fallen apart, how much money was he able to raise? A, are you kidding me? 0, nothing, nada. B, $10 million. C, $100 million. Or D, $1 billion. Laura?
Oh, I didn't read this one, but I would guess 100 million.
I would have guessed that too, but it's probably $1 billion because you want to finish the show making us both want to vomit.
Exactly.
100 million doesn't make you want to vomit?
That does too. It makes me kind of sick. The other one, I want to vomit while I'm jumping out the window.
Okay, you could just feel sick. It was $100 million.
Okay.
To do the same thing all over again.
I've accepted the fact that none of that stuff makes any sense to the Laura world, to the Jay world. I've accepted that, and I don't pay much attention to it because it is what it is.
Yep.
Guys, we are out of time. My thanks to Jay Goltz and Laura Zander. As always, thank you for sharing here in such a transparent way. Thank you for putting up with my questions where I try to get under your skin, especially you, Jay.
Did it work? Do you think it worked?
Yes.
Occasionally it works. And on that note, thank you both. Thanks for listening, everybody. This episode was produced by Jess Thuberon, founder of Blank Word Productions. Remember, we started the 21 Hats podcast to help business owners feel a little less isolated, to let them know they aren't the only ones fighting these battles. If you got something out of this conversation, please help us reach more people. Tell a friend, subscribe and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at 21_hats. And let me know if you have a question or a comment or a topic you'd like us to cover. My email address is lfeldman@21hats.com. See you next time.